Oh baby, it's cold outside. I can't sing at all. Yeah. Hey, how you doing? For some strange reason, people like it when I wear this robe. I actually wear it because it's friggin' cold outside. And it's so warm and toasty. Yeah. I like turning the heat up too high in a house. It makes sleeping miserable. It's better to dress warmly and not keep the house like as hot as a baked potato. Makes it miserable. Hi, how you doing? Now, even the people that hate me, yeah, they know I know a lot about lenses. Am I tooting my own horn right now? Not really. I'm going to make a point. I'm going to actually define what a perfect lens is. Then there's no such thing ultimately like a perfect lens, right? Like you think the most beautiful person on earth, they probably still got like a couple STDs and like, warts on their butt. There's something not perfect about them, but everybody else in the world considers them perfect. I guess a perfect lens would be like the most beautiful person in the world. There's still something wrong with them, right? Here's a comment, and I see this stuff all the time. And someone wrote an article on this goofy photography website, and this is kind of the typical stupid stuff that you see. It's just a statement of ignorance, but it's not about this statement, but it's the sort of stuff you read. This guy said, the Otis line of lenses from Zeiss are perfection. It's a joy to use. And he said there's no need to put Vaseline on the lens, or he's talking about an effect, a bokeh effect. And I'm actually going to define for you being both intelligent, logical, actually hyperlogical, on what a perfect lens is. And I'm going to spell out for you what a precision lens is. There's a distinction between a super precision lens, a perfect lens, or close to basically as perfect lens, and an awesome lens. And of course I've had countless thousands of lenses pass through my hands, many countless thousands. I own many, well, I think I own like 560 some lenses, something like that. Not that that's important. I actually don't say that to gloat. I'm just saying, when people like do lens reviews online, they say a lot of stuff and they really mean it most of the time, but it's like, ultimately in the spectrum of things, what the hell do they know? And if you were to buy like a radically expensive lens like an Otis, and which of course is extremely sharp, and it's a lens of precision, but it's far from a perfect lens. It's clinically sharp, but it actually has issues with image fidelity or micro contrast, and the bokeh on the Otis lenses pretty much sucks. There's actually not really anything. I would never ever, even if you are filthy rich, I would never recommend an Otis lens to anybody. I've used all the current, well, all but one Otis lens. There's nothing there worth buying for that kind of money, not even close. But this is not about Otis lenses. Here's the lenses that require very, very fine precision, okay? And of course I've, said very humorously using my parrot puppet over here, is it sharp, is it sharp? Parroting those idiots that think that sharpness is everything. This is what they don't get. So let's actually talk about a precision lens where sharpness is incredibly important. Macro photography, product photography, reproduction photography, where you're actually taking a picture for like a museum. You need you need to put a little scale, like a little millimeter scale next to the object. It's like of an ancient Egyptian object or artwork, and you need very precise reproduction with low distortion, and you actually put a color checker passport in the scene for perfect white balance correction. This is where we're talking about precision, okay? Architecture, tilt-shift lenses. The reason tilt-shift lenses, even the old Nikkor lenses, the perspective control lenses, they're shift lenses, but they're not tilt lenses. They're very, very, very sharp. They're clinical precision lenses, so macro photography, product photography, indoor, well actually it depends what it is. Real estate photography, they actually distort the hell out of everything. Then you want to use a super wide angle lens to make a crummy little room look really large. So, but architectural stuff for brochures, you mean very, very sharp, high precision lenses with low distortion, low vignetting. So tilt shift lenses, product photography, macro photography, reproduction work, like I said, for museums and whatnot. And this is where precision, here, perfect example, and I've owned more macro lenses than anybody you've ever met or will know, literally. There's probably 2 or 3 people out there that might have used more Mac. The best that I've ever used, by the way, is the 80mm 2.8 Fujifilm lens. It is just incredible. It's just unbelievable. Well, there's just one example, but that's a high precision lens. An awesome lens is one that actually has character. It's probably, and this is a certain group of lenses that actually have the characteristic of being really awesome, but they're not precision lenses and they're far from perfection. They have really crazy bokeh and swirly bokeh. Like, I'm no fan of Russian lenses at all. Most all of them are uncoated, which is not really a big deal unless you're talking about direct incidental light for flare. They got bad vignetting, bad distortion, but man, they'll make some crazy ass portrait shots with swirly bokeh where you frame your subject. People love the hell out of that stuff. Like the 3-element trio plan lens, which I actually have that lens. Not sharp at all. The furthest thing from sharp, but the crazy frigging bubble bokeh. This is an awesome lens. It has unique characteristics. And so I actually have made God knows how many hundreds of videos on really awesome lenses. So I've defined for you precision lenses, I've defined for you awesome lenses. Or an awesome lens also could be a lens that is extremely sharp and has no character. I mean, it's a clinical lens, like an Otis lens. You know, it's an awesome lens, but I would never buy that. I would never recommend it. Not only is it obnoxiously expensive, other than being really sharp, it has poor characteristics for image fidelity, i.e. micro contrast, has crappy bokeh. I mean, it's crappy, horrible bokeh. That multi-thousand-dollar lens, I mean, it's just a piss waste of money. Just literally a piss waste of money. I don't care how much money you got, it's a waste of money. And I'm not against Zeiss. I own a pile of Zeiss lenses, but those lenses should not be bought. Now let's talk about a perfect lens, and I'll list a few perfect lenses after this. A perfect lens is a lens that has both character and precision, and by God, there ain't too many of those. All lens design, and you can ask anybody that designs lenses, they actually have CAD programs for designing, focal length, the actual character. I want to make a 35mm f1.2. You'll actually plug it in, talk about the dimensions. You want to make it as small as possible, set the parameters, and the computer program will calculate out the refractive indexes and build you a lens. And of course, you actually have to design some character into that, which a lot of lens companies do or don't do. Then it'll design whether the elements are as few aspherical elements as possible, because those are radically expensive to make. However, there's a cheap way around it that several of these companies will not talk about. They use polycarbonate, i.e. plastic elements, like Nikon does and Canon does it also. Very, very cheap. These are, by the way, polycarbonate lenses. Nikon and some other companies actually use that to get around the radically expensive aspherical elements necessary. But a perfect lens is one that actually has both character and precision. This means it has amazing bokeh and characteristics, not necessarily, but can be image fidelity. Now, as far as incredible character, it could be one or the other, or sometimes both. They usually coincide, but not always. Perfect or an awesome characteristic of a sub-characteristic of a perfect lens is one that has incredible image fidelity. In other words, for black and white photos, it's the cat's ass. And it has great bokeh. That is the secondary sub-characteristic of an amazing lens, of a perfect lens. Now, a perfect lens is one that has character and precision, but we're talking about the character end of a perfect lens. Okay, credible image fidelity and amazing bokeh. One that countless thousands of people bought off my recommendation is the Voigtlander 58mm f1.4 Nocturne. Oh my God, amazing image fidelity, i.e. micro contrast, and incredible bokeh. It is a Pablo Picasso, it is a Leonardo da Vinci is divinely, it's actually based upon a Topcon design. Voigtlander stole that design, so to say stole it, off of an earlier lens design called Topcon. But it's okay. Flattery, copying is the highest form of flattery. What is it? Imitation is the highest form of flattery. So it's okay that they did that, because that lens, the Topcon, is incredibly impossible to get and old and rare and whatnot. So anyway, those are the two characteristics of a perfect lens, the sub-characteristics, one being the image fidelity, the other one being the bokeh, or actually how it renders. I mean, is it, you got puffy cloud bokeh, or do you actually have swirly pastel bokeh? And of course, there are all many characteristics, subsets of an amazing characteristic lens outside of the micro contrast, or image fidelity is what it should be called. And it depends on what you want. Then, of course, the other side, the other second half of a perfect lens, like I said, two sides of a perfect lens. One is amazing characteristics, which is image fidelity and bokeh. And the other one is how precise it is. Low vignetting, low distortion, sharp as piss. By the way, that's a Southern saying. When you say sharp as piss, it's just a Southern saying, okay? So those are two characteristics of a perfect lens. The characteristics of an awesome subset, the secondary characteristic of an awesome subset, like I said, is of two values. I'm going to list you some perfect lenses. There's more than this, but these are just some off the top of my head. The 35mm f2 Zeiss Distagon. Here's a lens that it is insanely sharp, and it has incredible characteristics for both bokeh and image fidelity. Okay, the recently introduced Tamron 3514. And I'll remind people, when I told people that this was a perfect lens, it's like the most amazing thing since sliced bread, go and buy it. There's all these stupid people online that said, oh, that guy doesn't know what the hell he's talking about. And then the largest photography group in the world said the same thing at the end of the year, back in December. Like, this is the best lens of the year. It's like, that's exactly what I said. I was the first one to say that. Of course I was right. But that's the Tamron 35mm 1.4. It is incredibly frigging sharp. Okay? Low vignetting, low distortion, amazing bokeh, and even though it's a relatively high image count, it's actually got decent image fidelity. Another perfect lens, and when I say perfect about these lenses, I'm basically meaning as perfect, is the GFX 45mm f2.8. Crazy ass sharp, amazing image fidelity, incredible bokeh. Another lens, the 16mm f1.4 Fujifilm lens, X-mount lens for Fujifilm X-mount. Easily my favorite X-mount Fujifilm lens. Another lens is the 180mm 2.8 D-series autofocus Nikkor. An old lens, incredibly sharp, unbelievable freaking image fidelity, unbelievable sensor saturation for what it is given ambient light. Incredible bokeh, is just off the friggin' hook. And another one just off the top of my head is the 300mm 2.8 Nikkor. It's like, which version? Doesn't matter. It'd be the AIS Nikkor. I've owned that one. I still own that one, actually. The DAF 300mm 2.8 Nikkor. The current AFS Nikkor, which I have that one also. The VR1 and the VR2 Nikkor. These are perfect lenses. Sharp as hell. Incredible image fidelity and incredible characteristics for bokeh. And so, these are the distinctions on a perfect lens, and I subset a perfect lens of being three different types. Really, there's only one group of perfect lenses, like I said, with two characteristics, super sharp and amazing characteristics. Right underneath that is a precision lens for macro product photography reproduction work. Typically, there's macro lenses, tilt shift lenses, perspective control lenses, and then there's awesome lenses. They may be not so sharp. Like, here's a perfect example. This is an old freaking lens. This is the Auto Yashinon 5cm at E50mm f2. This is an old freaking lens. Yeah? It's incredible. The bokeh on it's incredible. The image fidelity is friggin' incredible. This lens is older than dirt. It's built like a tank, and it's friggin' awesome. And it's perfect adapted to a Fujifilm or even a Sony camera. So those are the three sets of incredible lenses. At the bottom, so to say, is an awesome lens. Then right next to it somewhere, of course, is a precision lens, as I've already defined, and then a perfect lens, or nearly so, with two sub-characteristics, super sharp and amazing characteristics, which is of two varieties. So I'm the first person and only person on YouTube or any photography forum that is logically, intelligently, and accurately, with an enormous amount of lens experience, spelled out what a perfect lens is, what a precision lens is, and what an awesome lens is, being both logical and, you know, great deal of thought on stuff like that. And it's important. You know, you really can't know stuff until you can define stuff. Some things are ineffable. You kind of can't define love and these countless other things, but stuff like this you can. You can't really define a perfect lens based off of an MT. This is what stupid people do. They'll like base, well, this lens is perfect. Look at that MTF chart. Oh, God, that's not how you define a perfect lens. That's just a really sharp lens. It's like an Otis lens. It's really sharp. It's an overpriced, horrible lens. Well, how can it be horrible if it's really sharp? said the squinty-eyed idiot. There are a lot of squinty-eyed idiots out there in photography. This is what the stuff that they say. This is what a squinty-eyed idiot says.
How could you say that about an Otis lens? It's really sharp, and it's expensive, and it's precision, and it's made by Zeiss. You're full of crap, you bald tattooed loser.
Like, no. I've used countless thousands more lenses than you have. I've accurately defined what a awesome lens is, a perfect lens is. That Otis lens, ain't it. You think it is because it's made by Zeiss and it's really expensive. But you're just like one of those other idiots, meaning you, talking about them. You're just like one of those countless other idiots that think it's German made. Well, most Zeiss lenses are Japan made. It's a German made. And it's really expensive, therefore it must be the best. And you would be stupid for thinking that, believing it, and espousing it to others. But stupidity is one of the universals of existential existence. Yeah. It's okay not to know the answers to things, but it's another thing to profess you're correct when in fact you're ignorant about something. You could agree with that or not, but it doesn't make it any less accurate. Thank you for watching, and yeah, click the link below if you like this video, or you can tell me how much you hate me. Do whatever tickles your pickle, whatever makes you happy. But I nailed this video. I nailed it. Oh, man.